You're watching DIYNate. If you enjoy this video, please consider subscribing. Don't forget to tell me about your project in the comments.
All right, friends, on this episode of DIYNate, we've got a Toro. It is a 6.25 engine, 150 cc's, Briggs & Stratton engine on here for this Toro. And a neighbor brought it over to me thinking that it wasn't working very well. And it's a Recycler 22-inch deck. So we're going to get busy on this thing and see if we can get it working. Now, historically, when I've worked on these mowers, there tends to be one problem that commonly comes up. And that one problem is a carburetor that needs to be cleaned. So we're probably going to end up doing that, but I'm going to take you through a few steps that I try first before we go through that. And hopefully these pointers will get you in the right direction if it's a simple issue like a carb cleaning. If it's something more than that, we may end up having to do a lot more work and figure it out, but I'll take you through the steps and we'll go from there. So first, I'm going to put on my trusty little gloves here. If you need some gloves like this, I'll leave a link in the video description as always. So for starters, the first thing I want to try is just seeing how it does on a pull and seeing if we get a good feeling of, is it truly a carb issue or something else? Now, I've taken the air filter box off already, and as you can see, this filter here is pretty dirty. And so one of the first steps I'll do with an engine that's not starting is I'll take that air cover off. So you'll see me do that in just a second, but let's just try and start it. We'll see how it responds. I also check gas. It's a common item to look at, but right now there's a little bit of gas in there. We can put some more in. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and put a little more gas in there. So we're working with enough to give it a fair shake. We're just going to pour a little bit of gas in here, and it's got about, say, 1/8 of a tank. So we're going to put a little bit more. We don't want it to go too crazy here, but we're going to go up a little bit more to give them a fair chance at starting. If the issue is gas itself, then they didn't have enough gas in it, and that's why it wasn't starting. But I don't think that's going to be the case. Let's put the top back on. And like I said, a friend of mine has been sitting in his garage for a long time, so we're going to test it out for starters and just see what we get with the startup. As you can see, we're not getting much there. We are going to check the spark plug. He did say he replaced the spark plug recently, and on the front, the spark plug boot is a good thing to check and make sure you've got a good connection. I'm pulling it off here, making sure that there's a good connection, and we'll put that back on. A little bit later, if we need to, we can test for spark. He also left me a spark plug that I could try on this one as well, but spark plug is rarely the issue. Could be something else. Let's give this a shot. I'm feeling a little bit of go, and so that's good. So that's what we're getting. So if your problem is similar to this, you may want to follow these steps. I'm going to take this air filter box off. We're just going to compare the difference. Looking at this air filter, it's pretty dirty. Not terrible, but enough dirt in there that it could need a cleaning. And the next step we're going to take is we're going to go ahead and start it without that air filter on. So let's give it a try. So it's a little bit tough to pull. So my next step, typically I would use something like a gum out or a carb cleaner or something like that. And starting fluid is another option. I'll show you a couple of these. First up, starting fluid right here. So starting fluid is a good tool to get it started. And sometimes I like to use this just because getting that engine going can be huge. Once it starts going, it can just kind of cure some of the ills. It'll just run. And so starting fluid can be a good one to get you going. I would follow that with a carb and choke cleaner. Here's some gum out carb choke parts cleaner. That's good to spray it in there and see if you can get that before you have to take the carb all the way off. Another spray solution that I like is seafoam, and there's some spray for seafoam. They also have a gas treatment I really like. Make it a little bit better. So these are just some of the solutions I use to bypass that whole carb cleaning process. So we'll see if any of these work, and if they do, great. And if not, then we know what we're working with, and we got to take them apart a little bit further. So we're going to start with the starting fluid. And with our starting fluid, you kind of look for a port to go in. That's going to shoot it into your carb. So there's an intake right there, a little port. We may pull this back a little bit, see if we can get that port open. So there's a little flywheel. We'll spray a little bit of starting fluid in there. Maybe more than we needed, but we'll give it a shot and see if that starting fluid gets us any better off. Sometimes this will fire right up. It might be temporary, might not. Let's give it a shot. As you can see, good start. So that's a good sign that it is carb related. Let's give it a So as you can see, that did a little bit, not quite enough. We'll shoot a little bit more in there and see if we can get him going. But starting fluid will sometimes get you past that first stage, sometimes not. And we'll go into our cleaning mode next. See if that helps. Here we go. So being on a cardboard box, probably not a good idea. We'll come over and bring him on the other side so we get any better luck over here. Not quite past the starting stage, but at least we could really feel a difference on that one when it was starting up. So now we're going to move into our carb cleaning stage. We'll use some of this gum out with an extended hose here. If you can avoid having to take the carb apart, it's great. You might find yourself right back to it a week or two later, though, so keep that in mind. Sometimes avoiding the work is a temporary solution that gets you by. But in this case, since I'm planning to give it back to my friend, I'll probably tear it all the way down. So now we're using the gum out carb spray. Without taking this off yet, we're opening the flywheel here and spraying some carb spray and hoping it's going to do its thing. We'll see how that works now. Let it dry out a minute here. Again, starting on a cardboard box, not necessarily ideal, but we'll see what happens. And we could also give ourselves a little more room. Looks like he likes to run this thing pretty low. I'm going to give some more airflow underneath it. We're going to go up to the 4th setting, at least for this initial run. And back wheels, give them some room as well. So if you run it low, it can create some flow issues and constriction that maybe you want to let it get back to normal before you deal with that. Cleaner's had a little bit of time to work here. Give him a shot. Much better, starting to sound like we're getting there. Let's do it again. And of course, not getting much after the first try is probably not a good sign. It's a pretty good indication that we're going to need to actually clean the carb, which is good for this video, but not great for what I would like to do, which is just not have to work on it at all. Spray a little bit more in there. But you can see the effect of going from starting fluid, a little bit of boost, cleaning fluid, much more boost, raising the wheels even more. Let's give it another shot. He's wanting to run for sure, just not quite there. Let's give it another shot here. You can see I'm firing, but I'm not getting much more than that. Okay, so he's running really well, all things considered. I don't have the dust cover on there yet, and I'm going to spray a little more carb cleaner in there just to get him nice and smooth. And we may end up cleaning the carb anyway, since he's kind of choking out a little bit. Wouldn't surprise me if we end up right back to needing to clean the carb, but those steps get you a long way. As you can see, we'll put the dust cover back on it and see how it runs with the dust cover after we empty one load of leaves. Dirty clogged up air filter can also be part of your problem. Usually it's not the whole problem, so that's just something to keep in mind. We'll wipe them down, blow them out a little bit. That one's probably seen better days. It's not so bad. Again, we'll shoot a little more carb cleaner in there. We'll open that port up right there. Shoot that carb cleaner in there. All right, now we're ready to go. We'll let this guy run one more round. We'll see what he runs like with dust cover on. I'm going to show you two things here. We'll do it once with the cover off and once with the cover on. All right, cover off to start with. Let's just make sure he's going to start back up again. The big question there. But he does start nonetheless. And again, some of that's probably having liquid in there when you dry out. We'll put this dust cover on. I have a feeling he's going to be even harder to start, and that's really why we'll probably need to clean the carb out, but at least you get an idea of being able to run with a carb cleaner. Here we go.
If you're interested in seeing a deeper carb cleaning on this Toro mower and how to remove the carburetor for the full cleaning, check out the link in the video description.
I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Have a great day.